I tried to keep myself in good physical condition by a daily routine of exercise. I involved myself in various think programs.
Excuse me?
Think programs, you know. You have to invent these things to pass the time. And then in the later years, I became involved in language study and so on.
What language?
Spanish for me.
Colonel, what did you find the most difficult thing about imprisonment and being away for such a long time?
I think that there is a certain amount of initial shock which sets in when you make the transition from 600 knots to 0. That in itself is something to be reckoned with. And from there on, a long time separation from friends and family, of course, is the most serious thing that affects you.
Major, you?
Yes, one of the hardest parts for me, and I always had to keep reminding myself it was not only for myself, but for all the other 400 or 500 there also, that we missed the chance of watching our children grow up, and I think that probably hurt us more than anything. But we're going to watch them now and enjoy our grandchildren. We have no regrets about it, but if that was one thing I might say that I missed, that was watching my children grow up.
There is there are a number of changes coming out of the program of President Nixon this year, and it's a mixed bag as far as colleges and universities are concerned. Some kinds of programs are being continued, others are being discontinued. In the area of student support, President Nixon has proposed that the old program, which was called the Equal Opportunity Grant, be replaced with a program which he calls the Basic Educational Opportunity Grant. This means there will be a new formula of support for students. We think that our own students will actually benefit from this change in the sense that they will have an opportunity to increase the amount of money which they could get from the federal government. But another phase of this same student aid program means taking the rug out from under the National Defense Loan, where we had about $80,000 under the old National Defense Loan. We will be reduced to the amount of money that's being paid back by our own students, bringing this to a level of about $20,000. So we will no longer have money from the federal government to loan to students at 3%. This means that we must help our students get loans from private lending institutions, banks that are willing to accept these student loans, to replace them. Now, the work-study program has been reduced somewhat, but we expect that to be continued perhaps at the level of 85 to 95% of what it has been. There are no more grants for library resources. Federal money for loans for building, like the new residence hall we built 2 years ago, will no longer be available. We do receive some project support, and those project support monies will continue.
For your attention. Yes. From what court decisions? We do not have any United States Supreme Court. Life. The critics of the Equal Rights Amendment have verbalized opposition that is founded in unexplored and exploited fears. These critics, in my opinion, have used distortion and hysteria rather than reason. Some have charged, for example, that if ERA is passed, then women and men will have to use the same public restrooms, or that male and female prisoners will be housed together in the same cells. These conclusions do not follow from the existing body of constitutional law coupled with the ERA. The President and most Americans know we need the ERA for one basic reason: to secure legal equality for all our citizens. Women are presently near citizens. The ERA will bring over 1/2 of the population of this country within the constitutional framework. Fundamental to this whole debate is how essential do we feel the Constitution of the United States to be? Some women perhaps are willing to operate outside its framework, knowing nothing else and fearing the unknown of full citizenship. But if the Constitution is a living document and basic to our society, the inclusion of women is proper and just. Constitutional authorities, what ERA will...
The Equal Rights Amendment will invalidate all these laws because no longer can you have any legislation which imposes an obligation on one sex which it does not impose upon another. Therefore, the Equal Rights Amendment takes away from a woman her legal right to be a full-time wife and mother supported by her husband. The second area is the matter of the draft. The Equal Rights Amendment will positively make women subject to the draft on an equal basis with men. This means not that the women would have all the nice easy jobs and the men the unpleasant jobs, but that women would have to be treated absolutely equally with men all the way across the board. They would have to carry the same 40 to 50 pound packs as the men. They would have to be put on warships and in combat like the men. And if the national emergency required, mothers would have to be drafted on exactly the same basis as fathers. There are many other areas where the Equal Rights Amendment would affect women. It would invalidate all of the protective labor legislation, which we believe is helpful to the women who do manual work or industrial work. No longer could women be protected by the laws, the legislation, which require companies to treat her as a woman and not assign her to the duties, the hours, and so forth that the men are required to do.
Both sides have had their say at these press conferences, and they will continue in a debate tonight at 7:30 here in Birmingham. One side says that women should not be drafted. The other side says that women should be drafted. Women make up 50% of the population in Alabama. They are over 1,300,000. It is not known as to how the majority of women in Alabama feel about the amendment to the Constitution, which would be the 27th Amendment if it is ratified by the state legislatures. Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News, Birmingham.
Be able to chat with you. You are old hands at this, and we are not. So pardon us if we I have read in papers and seen on TV and heard on the radio concerning the fixing of our thoughts and putting words in our mouth, etc. I'm here to tell you that DOD or anybody else was not the influence that was most pressing upon us. When we left Hanoi, we were already agreed that the people who would remain after us were most important to us, and that this was our own doing. If nobody else had said anything to us, it would have been that way.
The thing I found is we didn't know what to expect when we came home, and well, I didn't expect to be greeted with such warmth and feeling. We didn't expect the amount of people like at Clark. The place was packed and people were yelling. We just didn't expect anything like that.
Would you have preferred that they weren't there? To
Well,
be more quiet homecoming?
I don't really know. It's just that we didn't expect it. It was really overwhelming at the time.
Could you tell us about your capture?
Well, mine was pretty simple. I was just north of the DMZ, and I was shot down by flak. And I was captured immediately.
I'll love you that I forgot, and that is, while I was in Hanoi, I received an autograph. Of the state of Alabama.
So long as I continue a citizen thereof.
So long as I continue a citizen thereof.
Best wishes for a very successful administration.
Thank you, sir.
I shall begin immediately the formation of this committee, and it will be made up of many people, consumers of power in large and small quantities. It will be a people study, and those who are asked to serve will be chosen without regard to their political leanings. I will ask them to work with the already established regional planning groups and to draw on the knowledge these groups may have gathered in this area. The committee will be charged with determining what power supplies will be needed in the foreseeable future and beyond. Perhaps we will then know the true extent of the energy crisis the utility people keep telling us about and the needs for expanding facilities and producing and delivering power. The public utilities of this state will be treated fairly by this commission. We are after all a regulatory body, not a confiscatory body. And you'll get fouled up on that one. But the utilities should be put on notice that their requests for rate increase are going to have to be properly substantiated, and that this commission will examine every fact and figure in the smallest detail. This commission does not need to be abolished. We do not need to be enlarged to 5 or 7 or 9 members. What we do need is adequate technical staffing and a dedication among ourselves to restore public confidence in our agency.